Hello my friends, welcome to my another video and Happy New Year! I hope you all had happy holidays. Now, you know, Revell is a company not really known for their good models between modelers. I know it myself. I mean, look at this leopard. It's just not good. The tracks were terribly done. They would just snap. The turret doesn't sit properly on the hull. Everything is warped. It's just so bad. But Santa brought me a gift for Christmas, and I thought, how about I build it on in this video and see if Revell can redeem itself. This is Leclerc T5 in 1/72 scale from Revell, and it's said that it's a new kit. It is not. The original release is from 2005, I believe, but some parts were changed and also the plastic was changed. As you can see, it's grey now. It used to be green. So let's get to building and let's see how it stands up to modern models. I start by clipping the parts out with my scissors, and I start with the running gear. I use my sharp hobby knife to remove all of the excess plastic. I actually ran out of all my new blades and couldn't buy new ones, so I was using old ones and it was kind of rough, but you know, this was a cheap Revell kit. I was trying to build it out of a kit and just not all that professionally, I guess, which was actually a mistake, as you will. Then I started working on the running gear. Now, this model has thankfully link and length track. The leopard I showed you at the beginning had one-piece tracks that had to be warmed up and then wrapped around the running gear, which was terrible. They were breaking up, they just weren't working how they were supposed to, so I am really glad that this Leclerc had these link and length tracks, and they were actually, I must say, amazing. I glued them together into this kind of sub-assembly as you would get in a trumpeter kit, and they were a pleasure to work with, actually. The instructions were kind of incorrect on the number of tracks, or well, links you were supposed to use, but once you figured that out, it just worked perfectly. You could see there that interesting exhaust that I really like on Leclerc's. It's just a heavy-duty exhaust, something I wouldn't expect to see on a tank. And overall the entire assembly just went together so nicely. I was very pleasantly surprised. The details were nice, and I must say, Revell probably redeemed themselves. This is an amazing kit. Now it's time for painting. I used two Vallejo paints. I used Vallejo White and Vallejo Buff. I mixed them together to this light shade, and then I thinned it down and applied it on the model. I applied it in several coats, trying not to cover any details because this model has quite a lot of fine detail, and you know, to create a nice coat of paint. After a few layers, this basic sand color was done. Then I painted the tracks with some light rust from Vallejo Panzer Aces range. This is the first time I was trying this color and I wanted to try it on tracks. I don't really recommend it on tracks. It's really bright and kind of unrealistic, but I toned it down and it ended up looking really nice at the end. Now, if you're wondering why this model is in this sandy color, I found this really cool skin on War Thunder Live. It's inspired by the Abrams Slayer skin, but it's on the Leclerc, so this is the camouflage I went with. You can see me here using Vallejo olive green, also highly diluted to pick out some details and panels, because this is how it's done on the skin itself. This was quite a satisfying process trying to paint out different panels, but I had to be really careful not to get the paint anywhere else, even though I ended up doing so at the end. Then I took out Vallejo Panzer Grey or German Grey, and I used it to pick out all of the rubber claddings on the tracks and also all the rubber, like, you know, mudguards on the hull. I really like this thing about Western MBTs with those rubber clads. It's really interesting in my opinion. Then came a time for first piece of, I suppose, weathering. I used the dry brushing method. Basically what you do is you take a dry brush, you dip it into some paint, then you unload the paint onto a paper until the brush is almost empty of the paint, and then you spread it across the model. And while washes pick out the deep crevices and, you know, panel lines and stuff, dry brushing picks out all of the raised edges. And I did the first layer of dry brushing with dark grey as well, because I wanted to create this chipped effect that you can see in War Thunder as well. Actually, if you wanna have like some chipping guide, War Thunder does have quite decent chipping on its tanks, quite realistic, and it looks pretty cool. Then I did the same thing with white, just to create that highlighted effect, and also, you know, there are grey edges, and then inside of them there's white, and it creates this really worn down effect, and I really liked it. Then I used the sponge chipping method with the light rust from Vallejo to create some rusty spots. I didn't go heavy on this, even though I could have, but you know, it was a new paint and I was still testing it out, so I didn't want to overdo it. Then came the washes. I used Vallejo dark grey model wash, and I applied it across the model. Now, since the model is light, I tried my best applying the wash over the parts I wanted to be washed, not everywhere, because it would be harder to clean up. I know there are better washes for this type of paint scheme, but it worked out in the end, and I just like how dark it makes some stuff and just dirty. Then, as always, this is an acrylic wash. Some people, as I've said, prefer enamel washes, but I like acrylic ones. As you can see, I blend all of the edges with some tap, you know, ordinary tap water. This is kind of harder and you have to go over some edges more times so you don't end up with tide marks, but it works almost the same as the enamel washes. And as you can see, all of the wash is only on the parts where I wanted it, and nothing seems overly dirty, there are no tide marks and nothing. And this is how you can create really realistic look for your tanks. Then it was time for the last piece of weathering. As with the Moderna, I went in with some buff color from Vallejo and I used it for some dust effects. As you can see, I took the highly diluted buff color and I applied it on bottom of the side skirts, or well, anywhere you would like the dust to be. And then I went in with a damp brush, preferably a white brush, and I spread it across the model upwards, as if the, you know, rain was taking the water down and creating these rain marks, and then with the same brush, but you know, I made it even more wet, I dabbed it a little bit and just went over this effect, repeated it, blended stuff to create, you know, dusty effect on the tank, because didn't want it to be muddy, but dust looks cool and it's fun to make. Anyway, I would like to thank everyone for the continuous support on my channel. I've seen a slight growth in my viewer count over my past two videos, and I've been told that they're better than the previous ones, and I suppose they are. I am trying my best, and since this is the new year, I will try my best to create even more content for you, create more models. I have so many projects in mind, all of them mostly, you know, super cool and stuff, so if you would like to support me, make sure to subscribe and like, perhaps even share these videos with your friends, maybe they're interested. Perhaps even go to my Patreon, you can get some daily updates from my workbench there, and some high quality pictures that you also see on the end of these videos. Thank you again so much for watching, I really appreciate it. This is the first video of this year, and you know, let's enjoy this year together and create more videos, more amazing projects, and just live it together. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time, and this is the presentation of the finished model.